Well, Kenya, the independent Kenya today is faced with a lot of pressure on education. There are two levels or two groups that advance education in Kenya. That is the private sector and government-owned institutions. The private sector is playing a very major role because if you look at the kindergartens, the early childhood education, there are very, very few government institutions where the very many children being born today would find places. And therefore, the specialization required to look after the young kids is found in private-owned institutions. And I think we need to encourage those institutions. We need to give them tax-free holidays. We need to maybe connect with what they are doing with the children so that there is a quality level in all these schools. The government need to get a bit more involved as an enabler of private sector where they are not able to themselves create opportunities. And for instance, they can organize seminars, bring experts, trainers to help the private sector individuals, because each of these small nursery institutions is not able to do much on their own. And if government was involved, there can be a lot of help. When you go to the primary education, again, first, there are two different levels. There are those who start learning the European standards, the 1 to Form 6 levels. And those need to start with a curriculum which is foreign to the rest of the students. But some schools may choose to do both, do the international qualifications and do the local qualification. And I think it's important because when you get to where the children have to go to universities, the places in Kenya are so few, they are not enough. And two, it's important for us to send some of our students abroad to study from different methods, to mix with other students, and come back with a different perception about life. And therefore, government need to encourage that. We need to encourage more schools to do Form 1 to Form 6s, to do international qualification, to do American qualifications, so that we can send more students to America and to UK and to Australia, to Singapore, to many places we would like to have Kenyan students. And therefore we must broaden up the space so that we have more and more students, because there are many, many students who miss opportunities at a very early stage in their life. And we need to make sure every able person able to study, to qualify, must be encouraged to study and get the opportunity to study. At the same time, the students who go on to private streams, private schools, we make sure their studies are of highest quality. Government must make sure that they do inspect and they understand what the school starting private is doing, what exams the students are doing, because you want to avoid any hoax operators coming and taking money from students, wasting their time, and eventually getting the students nowhere. We need to make sure that the standards of education in this country are kept very high. And this is what will attract many other students from the neighboring countries to come and study in Kenya. As it is today, Kenyan education is rated very high, and I think all schools need to be rated. There should be an independent body that rates government schools, rates private schools so that the students know when they choose a certain school what are the likely standards they are faced with. I think that we need policies. We need people to contribute to what government is doing. We need to open forums where government can collect information from the public. Some of us, like me, I sit in the Harvard board where I help to shape the focus Harvard is into. I help the president of Harvard create a policy that, in line with the current situation, helps to guide the president of Harvard on the direction we are going to. And therefore, Cabinet Secretary of Education and all those people need all of us to help them guide the way forward. They don't have monopoly of the knowledge. They actually maybe don't have very much. They need help. We need to open a space to allow skilled Kenyans with more to contribute to the kind of education we need in this country. Because it's the future of our nation, it's the future of the children, and we all need to be interested in it. We all need to sit together and continue to review what we are offering to our children. Actually, this needs to be reviewed. Every 5 years, we should be sitting down, or 10 years, and say, can we overhaul the thing? Can we change it? The world is moving in one direction. What are we doing? You know, we talked of computerization in schools. Do we need laptops for students? Or do we need laboratories in schools? Do we have science laboratories in schools? So these are the issues we need to debate. We need to talk about. We need to empower the children so that they don't become second best. They want to be in the front line. After all, Kenyan runners, this morning I saw a Kenyan young man and a Kenyan young lady winning marathon. They should be able to win education marathon. And we should not accept to be the second best. We should leave the second best to countries who want to be second. Kenya want to be number one always. And I think government is spending a lot of money into education, but we want to make sure the money is being spent in the right place. And I would also appeal to the government to give breaks to those who start private education so that they are not being taxed for maybe 10 years until they develop institutions of strong higher learning. But the institutions that have commitment to do the right thing for the students, not the ones which are set up just for money making. They must be good for the students first. And inspection of schools, rating of schools, I think is a must.